So in line with this graphic relating to how we can multi-tag between both standards, bodies, and content, bodies, let's first look at the strategy and then we can take a quick look at the tools. Now the black boxes at the top here, GEC and GECC EFR, and then these three boxes and the courses. These black boxes with the blue lines, these are GEC's standards and associated course materials. So in this way you can see a real hybridized lesson content, because at the lesson and problem level here, GEC's content has both the academic tagging on this side and the language tagging on the other side. So it is hybrid in a very literal way. Right, this is what we mean by a hybridized program. Now these red sections down below here on the academic and the language side, these are linked first to the standards. Whether they're academic on the left, academic standards linked to GEC standards on the left, or other language standards on the right, which are linked to GEC's language standards. And so these alternative standards are linked to GEC standards, and through GEC standards these bodies are also linked to the lesson content. Now it's worth stopping for a minute and thinking about this strategy in relation to what we discussed in the previous video. We've already guaranteed to cover in excess, I'd say, of any language standards body. Now when we associate with a new set of standards, and perhaps we have to author some new content down here maybe to support it, or maybe we create an alternative lesson plan, like alternative support for this that goes together with the existing curriculum to address a different standard, in some way. We're basically addressing both of the specific skills targets, the ones from maybe CEFR and the ones from ACTFL, or the ones from ACTFL and from IELTS. When we're addressing them both or all of them with new content or with alternative lesson plans or alternative exercises, then what we're doing really is at the same time just simply strengthening our master standards and master content structures at the same time. So whenever, like if we do have to build an extra 10%, we're missing 10%, we have to build it, it just strengthens our network up here. Everything strengthens our position. So the tools we use for this are the GEC libraries. So let me pull up the Super Admin, and then we can look at those libraries. So under our Builder section here under Libraries, here we have main libraries. Link Academy, Vietnam, and GEC are main libraries. And then we have these sub-libraries and substandards. There's the standards library here, which is associated with the course library. And here's where the multi-dimensional tagging occurs, because I can connect the standards here with the standards here. If they're academic standards, I can connect them, or if they're actual language standards, I can connect the standards between here, or I can connect the courses. So the courses actually connect through the standards. As a matter of fact, what we can do is we can clone GEC courses into the Vietnam language, so it's actually the same course, and it can have the same standards or alternative standards either from this library or this library. So what I'm saying is the standards here can see each other here. And another thing that can happen inside our standards library, for example, we have our CEFR standards here, and then our kindergarten through 12th grade academic standards. If we were to, and yes, these do associate. These CEFR standards are tied to this course material, and so the CEFR material, we could easily within this very library create the ACTFL standards and then associate the CEFR standards to the ACTFL standards, and then the ACTFL standards would address, the ACTFL standards would be addressed by the course content that the CFER standards are connected to. And again, we can align at minimum 70, I would say 80, 85 to 90% of what CEFR has is going to, what actual needs is going to be covered by CFER. Okay, CFER is a huge body of standards. You have to think again, like we were saying about training students, international students, in English language as opposed compared to training students who actually live in the U.S. in an immersion environment. You know, it's going to be much harder. So training the students in the U.S. is an easier problem for us. But in any case, to see the connection here, we can just go to the course library, and we can just look briefly into any one of these lessons. We'll just go into the Earth's surface here. And so at the course level, we associate, at the course level, edit, we associate the grade. You see, here's our standards, right? And which standards are we going to associate here? We're associating the 7th grade standards. And which subject are we associating? We're associating science, right? That's from the standards library. We're associating at the course level. Now, once in this course now, when we build a lesson, because this is a lesson group and this is the lessons that are in this group. Here we've got another lesson group, right? But in this lesson group, when we create a lesson, we actually have to get the domain now. So the domains are coming from the standards library. But we've already identified that it's 7th grade science. So we're getting the 7th grade science domains here. We can attach more than one domain as well, but this particular lesson has only one domain associated with it. Now that we've got the domain associated, now all the problems in here are going to have access to those standards. So if you jump into problem 1 here, you'll see that the B1 version of this problem has soil is best for growing crops standard. Well, guess what? B1 has the same academic standard. A2 version has the same academic standard, and A1 obviously has the same academic standard. But here we have A1 usage that we're dealing with, working with text. And here we have B2 CFER standard that we're working with text. So we can apply different language standards in these different levels, whereas we're applying the same academic standard in these different levels, because you can see good soil is needed to grow things. That's the A1 version. But if you look at the B2 version, and you look at the text here, that people who are looking to grow plants or farm crops need to find suitable soil. This is a B2 level sentence, right? So in that way, we can, let me go back to this image right here. We can associate any one of these standards bodies to our standards, and then through our standards we can access the material that will support those standards. And if any connections are missing, maybe I would say this is being over pessimistic. I would say 80 to 90% we're going to find, but if any are missing, we just simply build them and build the connections, and we can cover the entire standards body. It's not a problem.